Are the judges ready? Is the timer ready? The next news team? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "I do not think that God approves the death penalty for any crime. Capital punishment is against the better judgment of modern criminology and above all, against the highest expression of love in the nature of God." Good morning. My partner Ashlyn Ruman and I, Kai Venegas, are for the resolution that the United States should change its penal code and abolish the death penalty. Observation 1. Definitions. Change. To make, different, or to replace. Penal code. A code of laws concerning crimes and offenses and their punishment. Abolish. To do away with. Death penalty. Death as punishment given by a court of law for very serious crimes. All of these definitions are from Merriam-Webster. Observation 2. Harms. Harm 1. There are wrongful convictions and executions of innocent people. Quote, since 1973, 200 people have been exonerated from death row. Source, Death Penalty Information Center. Summary, executions are irreversible and not all who are convicted are guilty. Harm 2, the death penalty is more costly than life without parole. Quote, to successfully execute an inmate costs millions of taxpayer dollars. Source, Death Penalty Information Center. Summary, the taxpayers pay incredibly more for the death penalty than for life in prison without parole. Harm 3, the death penalty isn't always effective. Quote, in Alabama, it took 20 minutes to execute Kenneth Eugene Smith using nitrogen gas after a failed attempt at lethal injection. Source, scientificamerican.com. Summary, the death penalty doesn't always work, and when it does, the person being executed is often in extreme pain. Observation 3, plan. Mandate 1, the U.S. would have to change its penal code. Mandate 2, everyone on death row would be sentenced to life in prison without parole. Mandate 3, the money saved from abolishing the death penalty could be used for taking care of inmates and crime prevention. The agency would be the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice would also enforce the mandates, and the change would save money. Observation 4, advantages. Advantage 1, there will be no wrongful executions. Quote, many have been exonerated from death row due to reopening of cases and the entrance of new and sometimes previously suppressed evidence. Source, scientificamerican.com. Summary, there will be no wrongful executions if there are no executions at all. Advantage 2, the taxpayers will save money. Quote, the death penalty imposes a net cost on the taxpayers compared to life without parole. Source, gallup.com. Summary, taxes will be decreased significantly. Advantage 3, no failed executions will happen. Quote, the death penalty is a state-sanctioned homicide, wholly ineffective, often botched, and much more expensive than life in prison. Source, scientificamerican.com. Summary, something that doesn't happen can't fail. In conclusion, quote, justice does not require us to punish murder by death. It only requires that the gravest crimes receive the severest punishment that our moral principles would allow us to impose. Source, Mark Kulik Center for Applied Ethics. Therefore, my partner Ashlyn Ruman and I, Kai Venegas, urge the judges to vote for the resolution that the U.S. should change its penal code to abolish the death penalty. Thank you. I'm now ready for cross-examination.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What was the source for your harm 1?
Death Penalty Information Center.
When was that source published?
I don't know.
You said that taxpayers would save money by abolishing the death penalty, But in the plan you said that the money would go towards something else, correct?
Yes.
No further questions.
Are the judges ready? Is the timer ready? Affirmative team? Good morning. My partner, Dallas Kowalski, and I, Olivia Sala, stand against the resolution that the U.S. should change its penal code to abolish the death penalty. Quote, when someone takes a life, the balance of justice is disturbed. Unless that balance is restored, society succumbs to a rule of violence. Only the taking of the murderer's life restores the balance and allows society to show convincingly that murder is an intolerable crime which will be punished in kind. Observation 1. Definitions. My partner and I accept the affirmative team's definitions. Observation 2. Harms. The affirmative team says that innocent people are being killed. There's wrongful convictions and wrongful executions of the innocents. However, we say there is no proof that a single innocent person has ever been killed by the death penalty. Quote, courts do not generally entertain claims of innocence when the defendant is dead. Source, Death Penalty Information Center. Summary, any claim of an innocent person being put to death is speculation. Harm 2. The affirmative team says that the death penalty is expensive and costly. However, we say that you can't put a price on justice. Quote, it is true that you cannot put a price on justice, but you can put a price on programs with a proven track record in improving the safety of the community. A state has to choose where to put its limited resources. Source, Judiciary Committee, Colorado House of Representatives, Richard C. Dieter, 2007. Summary, the death penalty serves justice, and that is something worth the cost. Harm 3. The affirmative team said that the death penalty isn't always effective. However, we say that the death penalty has just purposes. Quote, the court held the death penalty was not per se unconstitutional, as it could serve the social purposes of retribution and deterrence. Source, Cornell Law School. Summary, the death penalty provides retribution and deterrence. Observation 3, the plan. The affirmative team's plan will not work. We are happy with the status quo. The affirmative team proposed to change the U.S. Penal Code. However, we've already proven that we should not change the U.S. Penal Code because the death penalty is already working. We said that there is no proof that a single innocent person has ever been killed. We said that you cannot put a price on justice and that the death penalty has just purposes. The affirmative team also proposed to put criminals in life in prison without parole. However, we say that life in prison without parole is cruel. The affirmative team also proposed that the money that would go towards death penalty trials would instead The affirmative team said that the money that would go towards death penalty trials would instead go towards caring for inmates. However, abolishing the death penalty wouldn't be saving money, it would just be going towards something else. Observation 4, advantages. The affirmative team said that there will be no more wrongful executions. However, we say that this problem lacks significance because, quote, since 1972, more than 9,800 people have been sentenced to death, and only 2.04% of those were innocent and were exonerated. Summary, 98% of the time, the justice system gets it right. It is not reasonable to change the policy over a measly 2% margin of error. Advantage 2, the affirmative team also says that taxpayers will save money. However, we say that the costs of the death penalty aren't significant compared to life in prison without parole. Quote, since the 1970s, 1,603 people have been executed from the death penalty. Source, Death Penalty Information Center, 2024. quote, as of today, 203,865 people are currently serving life in prison without parole cases. Source, sentencingproject.org. Summary. Because of how often death penalty trials occur, comparing life in prison without parole sentences, the cost is not as significant as the affirmative team is making it sound. Advantage 3. The affirmative team said there will be no failed executions. However, we say that violating the 8th Amendment of death penalty can be avoided. Quote, the death penalty is not unconstitutional for the crime of the murder, provided that there are safeguards against arbitrary or capricious impositions by juries. Source, Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. Summary, certain safeguards can be established. In conclusion, quote, vicious murderers must be killed to prevent them from murdering again, either in prison or in society if they should get out. Both as a deterrent and as a form of permanent incapacitation, the death penalty helps to prevent future crime. Source, Death Penalty Information Center. Therefore, my partner, Dallas Kowalski, and I, Olivia Sala, urge the judges to maintain the status quo. Thank you. I am now ready for cross-examination.
What was the source of the quote at the beginning?
Death Penalty Information Center.
Did you say that the death penalty is unconstitutional?
No, we said that it is not unconstitutional.
Does that 2% of innocent people that were executed not matter to you?
They matter, but we believe that the number is not significant.
What was the proof that no innocent people were executed?
We said that courts do not generally entertain claims of innocence when the defendant is dead, so any claim of an innocent person being put to death is just speculation.
No further questions.
Are the judges ready? Is the timer ready? Negative team. Good morning. My partner Kai Benegas and I, Ashlyn Ruman, are for the resolution that the U.S. should change its penal code to abolish the death penalty. Observation 1. Definitions. We are pleased that the negative team has accepted our definitions. Observation 2. Harms. Harm 1. There are wrongful executions and convictions of innocent people. Quote, Troy Davis will be executed by lethal injection in the coming months, but he still claims to be innocent of a murder that may not have happened two decades ago. End quote. Source, Gale Academic 1 file. Summary, it's quite possible that the man who was executed could have been innocent of a murder. Harm 2, the death penalty is more costly than life without parole. Quote, the drugs needed for lethal injection are becoming harder to obtain, and manufacturers are refusing to sell them if they are going to be used to execute someone. End quote. Source, Legal Moderator Worldwide. Summary, even the manufacturers agree that the death penalty should be abolished. Also, this is just another reason for the price of the death penalty to go up. Harm 3, the death penalty isn't always effective. Quote, the death penalty is a flawed system that has been proven to be an endless cycle of court proceedings as well as ineffective, unjust, and expensive. Source, Legal Moderator Worldwide. Summary, the death penalty is flawed and cannot be fixed. Observation 3, plan. Let me restate our plan. Mandate 1, the U.S. would change the penal code. Mandate 2, everyone on death row would be sentenced to life imprisonment without parole.
Mandate 3. The money that was saved will be spent on taking care of the inmates and crime prevention. Agency. The agency would be the Department of Justice. Enforcement. The Department of Justice would enforce the mandate. Funding. The change would save money. Observation 4. Advantage. Advantage 1. There will be no wrongful executions. Quote, "The struggle for justice does not end with me. The struggle is for all the Troy Davises who came before me and all the Troy Davises who will come after me." End quote. Source, Troy Davis. Summary. Even one innocent person being wrongfully executed is too many people. Advantage 2. The taxpayers will save money. Quote, "Pennsylvania has already had to delay executions because it costs too much to pay for lethal injection." End quote. Source, Sydney Gate Media Incorporated. Summary. The price is going up for everything related to the death penalty. Advantage 3. No failed executions will happen. Quote, 3% of executions from 1890 to 2010 were botched. Source, Death Penalty Information Center. Summary. There were 8,776 executions from 1890 to 2010, and 276 of them were botched. If there were no death penalty, this would not happen. In conclusion, quote, "The death penalty flies in the face of moral values, common sense, and history. Death sentences do not deter crime. They have been given to numerous individuals who were later exonerated. Over the years, the country has moved steadily away from the death penalty." End quote. Source, American Friends Service Community. Therefore, my partner Kai Venegas and I, Ashlyn Ruman, urge the judges to vote for the resolution that the U.S. should change the penal code to abolish the death penalty. Thank you. I'm now ready for cross-examination.
Good morning. Good morning. What was your quote in harm 1?
Troy Davis will be executed by lethal injection in the coming months, but he still claims to be innocent of a murder that has happened 2 decades ago.
Has there been any evidence that Troy Davis is really innocent?
No, but it is quite possible that he was.
Is Troy Davis's opinion trustworthy?
I believe that if he says that he was innocent, then he was.
What was your source in harm 3?
Legal Moderator Worldwide.
When was this source published?
I don't know.
You said that changing the penal code and abolishing the death penalty will save money. How will abolishing the death penalty save money?
We would no longer be spending money on the death penalty, so we could use it for better things like crime prevention.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Are the judges ready? Is the timer ready? Affirmative team. Good morning. My partner, Olivia Sala, and I, Dallas Kowalski, stand against the resolution that the U.S. should change its penal code to abolish the death penalty. Here's a quote from John Locke, an English philosopher. "Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed." Locke emphasizes here that for someone who kills, they deserve the same punishment. This is justice. Today I'll be presenting why the affirmative team's arguments are weak, why our arguments are strong, why the death penalty is a working deterrent towards crime and provides justice. The affirmative team says that innocent people are being sentenced to death. However, we say that not all claims of innocence are valid. Quote, "If it can be showed that someone is innocent, surely a governor would grant clemency and spare the person. Hypothetical claims of innocence are usually just delaying tactics to put off executions as long as possible. Source: Death Penalty Information Center. Summary: some innocence claims are trying to delay their execution, showing that the death penalty is a feared deterrent. Harm 2. The affirmative team says that the death penalty is expensive. However, we say the costs of the death penalty are not significant because of the amount of states who utilize it. Quote: as of 2024, the death penalty remains a completely legal form of punishment in 21 U.S. states. Source: Newsweek.com. Summary: less than half of the U.S. use the death penalty, so the costs are not significant. The affirmative team says that the death penalty is not effective and it will put criminals in pain. However, we say that the death penalty does not violate the 8th Amendment. The Supreme Court has ruled that the death penalty does not violate the 8th Amendment's ban on cruel and unusual punishment, but the 8th Amendment does shape certain procedural aspects regarding when a jury may use the death penalty and how it must be carried out. Source: Death Penalty, Cornell Law School. Summary: violating the 8th Amendment with the death penalty depends on how the death penalty is carried out. Plan. The affirmative team said that they are going to change the U.S. Penal Code. However, we've already proven that we should not change the U.S. Penal Code because the death penalty does not violate the 8th Amendment, the costs of the death penalty are not significant, and not all claims of innocence are true. They also said that abolishing the death penalty wouldn't be saving, they also said that money could go towards police enforcement, but abolishing the death penalty wouldn't be saving money, it would just be going towards something else. They also said that they'd be putting criminals in life in prison without parole, but this shouldn't happen because people are already in support of the death penalty, and since 1972, majority of people each year are for the death penalty. Advantage 1. The affirmative team says there will be no more innocent executions. Although, we say that it is nearly impossible for an innocent person to be killed nowadays. Quote: given our thorough system of appeals through numerous states and federal courts, the execution of an innocent individual today is almost impossible. Source: Death Penalty Information Center. Summary: due to rigorous appeals system, executing an innocent person today is nearly impossible. Advantage 2. The affirmative team said that we'd be saving money by abolishing the death penalty. However, this contradicts what they said in their plan, saying that taxpayer dollars would go towards something else. The costs for each death penalty trial are necessary. The death penalty trials are more expensive for several reasons. They often require extra lawyers. There are strict experience requirements for attorneys, leading to lengthy appellate waits while capable counsel is sought for the accused. Security costs are higher, as well as costs for processing evidence. DNA testing, for example, is far more expensive than simple blood analyses. Source: NBCNews.com. Summary: the costs are necessary so the death penalty works effectively. Advantage 3. The affirmative team says that there will be no more failed executions and people won't be put in pain. However, we say that the death penalty isn't always considered cruel and unusual punishment. Quote: the Supreme Court has found that imposing the death penalty on those under age 18 at the time of the crime or the intellectually disabled to be cruel and unusual punishment under the United States Constitution. Source: Justice.gov. Summary: the death penalty is considered cruel and unusual punishment only when the criminal is under 18 or is intellectually disabled. Conclusion. In conclusion, we prove today that if we get rid of the death penalty, it encourages the most evil criminals, knowing that the ultimate punishment is off the table. If we keep the death penalty, it will ensure that the most brutal criminals face the ultimate consequences for their actions, providing a powerful deterrent against future crimes. My partner, Olivia Sala, and I, Dallas Kowalski, urge the judges to vote against the resolution that the U.S. should change its penal code to abolish the death penalty. Thank you. I now stand ready for cross-examination.
Good morning. You said that not all claims of innocence are valid. Do the ones that are matter?
Yes, they do matter, but that doesn't mean necessarily that it's true.
Did you say that we said that it violates the 8th Amendment?
Yes.
Did you say that we said that money would go toward police enforcement?
Yes.
No further questions.